Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is the very first day of something new. I was thinking about art education the other day and I came to the realization that whether you went to art school or not, after a few years, your memory for what you've learned starts to fade a little bit. It's always a great idea to refresh your mind and re-teach yourself. And so I went to the store the other day, picked up this bad boy, and so I came to the decision that every Tuesday from now into the foreseeable future, we are going to have sketchbook study days where I will choose an art movement style and the artists that contributed to those movements, and we're going to talk about them and explore a little bit. I want to do little practice paintings of each movement and style. Feel free to follow along if you'd like. I'm really excited about it, and I think it'll be fun to learn and refresh together. So, without further ado, today is all about Impressionism. Okay, so these are the supplies that I have. My palette, obviously, my scraper, and then the oil colors that I used. Obviously, everybody's painting is going to be different, so you can use whatever colors you wanted. Um, Also, obviously, you're going to need paint brushes, so I've got those here. I also use Liquin as my medium, and I also have Gamsol. Liquin's really nice because it allows your painting to dry much faster. Okay, so this is the first page of my study sketchbook. I know it says 2018 on there, and I thought I was going to do this back in like November, December, but it's April of 2019, so I'll have to fix that. Um, Page 2 has all my contact info, and then page 3 is like the table of contents. And then on this next page is the definition of Impressionism and artists known for Impressionism. And that includes Monet, Cézanne's on there, Matisse, Renoir. And then on this next page is all the facts. I took a bunch of notes when I was doing my research, and this is where I put it. I also have all these like sticky notes and stuff all over the place, but didn't want to show that. And then this is obviously the page where we'll be painting today. And guys, I was so frustrated about how wrinkly the paper was. I think I just went too fast and put on too much gesso at too quickly, I guess. But I was so frustrated that I did some research and I found out Rust-Oleum spray paint primer works fantastically. I totally recommend you try it. It just lightly mists on and it doesn't do that to your paper. Try it. Okay, so just so you all know, this is what I was looking at throughout this whole first painting. I was excited to try to paint that turquoise truck, and I was just drawn to the scene. So, anyways, so let's get into this. The definition of Impressionism that I have. I want to start off with this, and then I'll tell you everything that I found during my research and all of that. But I do want to start off with the definition so we all know what we're talking about here. The definition is a style or movement in painting originating in France in the 1860s, characterized by a concern with depicting the visual impression of the moment, especially in terms of shifting effect of light and color. Artistic style that seeks to capture a feeling or experience rather than to achieve accurate depiction. Okay, so here is an example painting by Renoir called Oarsman at Chateau. And as you can see, light and color play a massive role in this painting. as well as the short, thick brushstrokes that we all have come to know as very impressionistic and emerged during the Impressionism movement. Okay, so a little bit more about the movement itself and the artists that we all know for Impressionism. The Impressionists emphasized the practice of plein air painting. So, for those of you guys who don't know what plein air painting is, it's pretty much just painting outdoors. Um, this became extremely easy because of an American artist named John Rand who invented paint in a tube in 1841. We can all thank American artist John Rand for coming up with something that we totally take for granted all the time. Um, this invention made it so much easier for artists to take their paints with them because, before it was tubed, they took pigment and oils, usually linseed oil, and mixed the two together, and that was their oil paint. But then you got to find a container to put it in, and just whatever. So awesome. I would be so flustered if I had to do that all the time, and whatever. Impressionists had to paint extremely quickly in order to capture the atmosphere of a particular time of day or the effects of different weather conditions on a landscape. Um, and their speed forced them to sacrifice accurate line and detail in favor of atmospheric effect. So I think that after I read that, this first painting that I'm doing, it actually this knowledge made me feel so rushed while doing it. It was like, oh my God, my lighting's going to change. What if it starts to rain? I don't know. I live in the mountains. What if all of a sudden a cloud goes in front of the sun, and you know what they say in the mountains, you don't like the weather right now, just wait 5 minutes and it totally will change. On and on and on. That's what I was thinking while painting this. And honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal. But whatever. Anyways, I think that's super interesting. They were less concerned with technique and skill and more concerned with just getting the whatever they were trying to say and point whatever their point was across to their viewers. So that's super cool in my opinion. Um, so Impressionism made its official debut in 1874. There was a show in France that featured artists like Monet, Renoir, Sisley, Cezanne, and Degas. And I've seen so many years that are quite a bit earlier than that. In fact, that definition that we said earlier actually said 1860s. But I guess the art community or whatever didn't find it official until 1874. I really don't know, but um, that's what I was getting throughout all of my research. So we're going to go with it. Um, and the Impressionists got their name actually from an insult that was hurled at one of Monet's paintings by the press, and the painting was called Impression Sunrise. So I guess all the impressionistic artists band together and decided, screw them, we're going to be known as the Impressionists, whatever. And so I think that's super cool. Um, what a compliment to Monet after getting so insulted. Um, Monet was actually one of the two recognized leaders of the movement. His fragmented colors and quick brushstrokes were influential, and other artists tried to imitate those qualities. He was extremely interested in capturing the passing of time in his paintings by the use of light. So, this painting, obviously, we all know Monet's water lilies, and this painting immediately gives the effect of light and color. You almost know exactly what time of day this was painted at, purely because the bright blue sky is reflected in the water. And while I've got this painting up, I want to go through the impressionistic painting techniques. Like I just said a second ago, they used short, thick strokes of paint. It's become what we all think of when we think of Impressionism. They quickly applied brushstrokes to give the painterly illusion of movement and spontaneity. And even though these are very spontaneous brushstrokes, they are still very well thought out. So they were put down with purpose. A thick impasto application of paint causes even the reflections of light to appear as substantial as any object in the scene. And so even the more negative areas of the painting still just look as substantial as any of the positive objects in any of these paintings. They avoided hard edges by working wet on wet, and they also used complementary colors to add vibrancy. And one of the things that I have been doing in this painting is working wet on wet, and I haven't done that in so long. So this was kind of fun in the fact that I got to kind of pull out old skills that I haven't used in a really long time. And if you guys think I should do a tutorial on painting wet on wet, leave that in the comments below. I'd be super interested to hear what you guys think, and I'd totally love to do a tutorial like that. So drop it down below. So I hate to say it, but here in just a second, my camera shuts off with this one. Um, I really tried to not focus so much on technical aspect and just lay down paint, but this is what it turned out to look like. I feel like I did a pretty darn good job, sort of. The whole technical aspect of it not being accurate line is what throws me, but whatever. I did do the choppy brush, thick brush strokes, painted wet on wet. I tried to hit all of the painting techniques and just kind of see how it turns out. And I think it turned out okay. I love the turquoise. So for this next painting, this is what I was looking at the whole time I was doing it. And for this one, since I felt a lot less rushed, I decided to quickly do a little undersketch with my burnt sienna paint. Okay, so I told you that Monet was a major leader in the movement, and the second major leader in the movement was actually Renoir. He, like Monet, was super interested in painting the passing of time and using light, but he actually was more interested in artificial light rather than natural light, and he also was more interested in the effects of light on figures. So he's really well known for painting women and families, and painting everyday life actually was a huge part of his work. Like the painting I showed you earlier called Oarsman in Chateau. Those were men working or hanging out and boating and stuff like that. And so he really liked capturing people doing just everyday kind of stuff. Picnics at the park, women hanging out with their friends. And there was a huge amount of positivity and optimism in just about all of his paintings, which is really awesome. Everybody loves a happy artist. I mean, look at Bob Ross. I don't know a single person who can say that they don't honestly like Bob Ross. And of course, we like the more moody, emotional, dark paintings too. But we're drawn to what makes us feel happy and what makes us feel uppy and positive. Cezanne, one of the other known painters for this movement, worked at the edge of the Impressionistic movement and was a major part of post-Impressionism, actually. And post-Impressionism was all about portraying not just the tangible, but taking a more symbolic approach to the Impressionistic movement. So they weren't as like they felt the need to challenge against the natural way that the impressionists were painting, you know. They were painting with more naturalistic colors and painting more naturalistic scenes and what they saw in front of them, whereas the post impressionists would use more saturated colors and colors that weren't really supposed to be there due to the eye. And honestly, I would say that the painting that I did first is actually quite a bit more post impressionistic. I That's my opinion. Um, because the trees weren't exactly that orange and the grass wasn't really all that orange. It was more of like a sandy color. But I made that color and I was just like, I'm putting it down, you know? So I wasn't as concerned with it being a realistic color. The painting I'm working on now, the second piece, is much more straight up impressionist. I really have enjoyed, you know, testing out the impressionism water, I guess if you want to say. I I think I'm gonna have to do like a full scale painting like this. I don't know. And I feel like I need to practice a little bit more, and it got me a little out of my comfort zone, but in a good way. I just think that if I don't honestly, if I don't do another painting like this, I at least need to start painting wet on wet more often. So fun. And what's so funny is that I take my traveling easel with me, even to like places like Jamaica and stuff like that, and paint outdoors. Or I'll take my travel easel with me hiking. And it's so stupid that even with doing all of that, I still haven't painted wet on wet in such a long time. It's so stupid because I'll like go out, paint like the first layer of what I'm trying to paint, come home, let it dry. I mean, it's only going to take like a couple of days to dry, right? But then I go back out and it's a whole different day. I've wasted those few days when I could have like pretty much had the painting done. And I'll come home and I'll be like, man, I really wish that I was still out there painting, when I could have been. I don't know why it never hit me. Girl, just like paint wet on wet. Like, do it. Uh, But it didn't hit me until now. So that's what I'm going to do. I mean, summer's around the corner. Sounds like a great idea. That is what I'm going to do. Um, so I think this is my favorite of the two paintings is this second one. The vase with the light going through it was so nice, and the fluffy flowers on top, and I don't know, it's just I I think for the second painting I actually took more time to like go out and look at everything in my house and my yard and stuff and actually look for some interesting lighting situations. I mean, it's light and color that they were paying attention to, right? So with the first painting, I was all about the turquoise truck and wow, that's some color. And then for this one, I definitely paid more attention to light. I mean, I do have a nice blue wall behind the flowers, so that's color right there. I think what I like also about these paintings is, or this painting style, is that it once you like cut loose and like get over the thought of like, oh, I've got to like speed paint this thing, it's super relaxing and kind of really nice to not care so much about line accuracy and like how accurate and realistic the object actually looks once you're done painting it, and actually like just get color down. It's nice to just not feel so technical about the painting and just kind of let the painting happen. Think about the brushstroke, think about the colors you're laying down and which direction you're laying the paint and all of that, fine. But it's super just so nice to just be like, okay, paint to paper. There we go. Don't worry about the fact that the vase is slightly off in shape or the truck looks smushed, you know? And when I was painting the truck, I had to literally force myself to be like, no, this isn't an accurate, I'm not worried about accuracy here. I'm trying to capture a feeling. I feel really fun about this truck and I really like the color of this truck and it's just like a happy type of thing and you pull the happiness through the painting. Um so I think that's really freeing and I think that even if this isn't something that you incorporate into all of your paintings, I still think it's a nice exercise to do just to like get yourself feeling creative and cut loose a little bit. It's so nice. It's so nice. Because normally I'd be so concerned about like every little reflection within the vase and how the light is perfectly blended across the tabletop. And here you're just like, screw it. Like, don't worry about it. Just get some paint down. And I think that's really cool. So, anyways, that was my freak out rant for a second. um, I really tried to. So that is a window in the back, and on the outside of the window is some shrubs and stuff like that. So I just tried to throw down color and not worry so much about edges, and it also helps with the perspective, knowing that it's kind of far in the distance. So it all kind of works out. I think it's really nice to go back and reteach yourself. This has been a really great experience. I think that it's causing me to remember certain techniques that I haven't used in a really long time. And even though I may not paint in the impressionistic style anytime soon, I mean, I might decide to do it again at some point. Like I said, I think it would be fun to do like a full painting in this style. But just from doing this exercise, all those painting techniques we've talked about and all the ones that I had to attempt to utilize while doing this study has just, it's been really good for reminding my creative mind all the different options I have. You know, I don't have to paint the way I always do. And I mean, I can. That's totally fine. But it is nice to be like, oh, yeah, that's right. Wet on wet. Or just throwing down some paint as the background and just allowing the messy blurriness to be what it is. And you know, the whole image doesn't need to be in focus. And that's something that is, once you say that out loud, you're like, well, duh. But while I'm painting, it's not one of those things that comes to the front of my mind. When I paint exactly as I see it and exactly as I want to stylistically paint it. So these techniques are just tools in allowing me to do everything that I want to do. I do think it would be super cool if you guys did follow along with this. I think it'll help all of you to remember techniques and adapt to honestly kind of uncomfortable situations. Like, I was honestly pretty nervous about doing this because I hadn't done something like this since art school. And that's been quite a while. And I think we did stuff like this in high school too. But it had been so long that it was kind of nerve-wracking to try to get back into it and explore it, especially without being like in the safety of a classroom, if you will. You know, you don't have a professor or something sitting there being like, oh, try this or try that. You have to work through it yourself. And in all honesty, I think that that's just as valuable as having a professor. So you're either forced to figure things out on your own or you're kind of given like a guided shove. Either way, you find different things useful and different things helpful, and it causes you to get out of your box and just figure stuff out. So if you guys end up doing this, let me know. I'd love to see even pictures of your painting. So if you want to tag me on Instagram with images of your paintings, I think that that would be so awesome. And drop comments down below if you do end up doing this, and let me know what you think and what you got out of it, because it's going to be different for all of us, and I think that that's part of the exciting part. We all paint differently, we all have our own styles, and our, like, each of our brushstrokes looks different. We could all line up and paint the same two paintings, and they'd all turn out wonderfully different, and specifically us individually. So yeah, let me know if you end up doing this. I'd love to see. Or if you just have other paintings that you want to tag me on Instagram or Facebook in, just so I can see. I'd love to see your stuff and build up this community of artists. So I think it would be fun. I'm finally going in and putting in these last few touches on these little trinkets on the counter. I really enjoyed how the white paint flowed over the top of these other colors. It still remained white, but it became softer and more glowy, in my opinion, instead of just like boom, stark white. And yeah, I'm just so blown away. I'm totally gonna do this on a bigger painting. I can just see myself doing it already. Or with this whole wet on wet stuff, maybe this weekend I'll go hiking and bring my stuff. That sounds awesome. If I do that, I'll bring my camera. Anyways, guys, we're coming to the end of this video. Please give this video a like if you did enjoy it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out my Instagram and Facebook accounts. It's just Artwork by Peyton. And check out my website if you're interested in supporting my little art business and would like to purchase a painting. You can go to www.artworkbypeyton.com, and all of my stuff is there. Thank you guys so much for hanging in there and making it through this really long 27-minute, 50-second long impressionistic video. I'm sorry it was so long, but I hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you on Friday for my next video, and then again next Tuesday. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and much love. Bye.